Hi everyone, in this video I will be doing a classic scissor cut, scissors cut. It is very exciting. It's a whole scissor haircut. Here I started from the nape area. I'm gonna do almost like a blowout. So I'm doing scissor over comb. I'm using a tapering comb. I'm using the fine side so I can get closer to the scalp. It is important when you do scissor over comb that you only move your thumb. You want to use about inch and a half to 2 inches maximum of your blades. As you see, I'm using only the tip of my blades. Scissor and a comb work together parallel to each other. My stationary blade is staying parallel to the spine of the comb. It is really exciting to do this type of haircuts these days. For a long time we mostly been doing just the fades, shape up, blowouts, mohawks, faux hawks, and so on. So it is kind of nice to see the classic haircuts coming back. Uh, the art of scissor over comb and scissor techniques is really almost lost. Razor work, razor cuts, I mean that's almost dead art. I was very fortunate to work with some of the best in the industry. I actually worked with one called Mitchell, global educator at the beginning of my career. I was his assistant for 6 months. Then I was very fortunate to work with a US champion from 1972 in men's hairstyling, and US champion 1976 also in men's hairstyling. Back then, Ruffler used to be big, and my current coach for the world competition is Mr. Andrea Turisi. He was a world champion in 1984. So I was very fortunate to have really top notch educators and learning the proper techniques. So here I'm trying to bring back the classic haircuts. I'm working here on all scissor classic haircuts with a low taper using scissors. This is one of the reasons here that I train myself how to do left hand, so I can, in these type of areas where the ear gets on your way, if you are only righty or only lefty. I like using this taper comb because it's very thin and it's also very flexible. It bends. It's very nice. If you really want to learn how to do scissor over comb, I think a good comb to practice is actually a taper comb because it's so small. Here I'm almost doing like a blowout with scissors, keeping it very low. I don't go too high, using fine side of the comb for a greater exposure of the scalp. And here I'm using the coarser side of the comb for a bulk removal. Same thing on the other side. Doing scissor over comb is, I believe the scissor over comb technique is probably one of the most difficult scissor techniques to master. I do about 10 to 11 different scissor techniques, and I personally believe the most difficult scissor technique to master is scissor over comb. Every other technique is a lot easier than that, where we're talking about point cutting, notching, slide cutting, slithering, texture cutting, or blunt cutting, such as right now. So if you can master scissor over comb, then you really have mastered the scissors. At least that's my opinion. It is actually the most common scissor technique in the salons and in the barber shops. Yeah, I'm doing blunt cutting. I'm actually starting from the crown. Pretty much all of my haircuts, I start from the crown when I cut the top. The reason I start from the crown is going forward, it's a lot easier to follow your guide, taking 1/4 of an inch or thinner sections so you can see your guide. I use convex edge scissors. Convex edge scissors are very sensitive scissors. They get dull very fast. You have to sharpen them every about 2 to 3 months. They have very fine edge, but they are the scissors that really, if you do like slide cutting and slithering, you have to have this type of convex edge scissors. Bevel edge are actually a lot more durable. They last a lot longer between sharpenings, but there are certain things that you cannot actually execute with them, such as slide cutting, for example. You cannot do with bevel edge. They are simply not as sharp as a convex edge to get sharp. Here I am connecting the back and the top, taking diagonal sections. My fingers are pointing down. I start from the back and I go towards the front. I like to work in the sections or panels. It is very like organized type of hair cutting. That's how I learned, and I believe that is the best way to also teach. This way, a person that is learning how to do hair cutting, he can actually learn step by step how to do haircut rather than just eyeballing the hair and just picking hair here or there. Even though you might do an excellent haircut and you know what you are doing, the person who's watching might not know exactly what's happening and how to approach the same haircut. This way he knows that if you do, let's say, the bottom part first, such as taper, then you do the top, and then you just connect the bottom and the top. So you kind of work in, step by step, or you have a plan how to approach the haircut. The more simple you make it, the easier it is. The easier it is. I'm over directing here, even on the sides. I'm trying to leave the hair slightly longer towards the front than on the back, so the hair constantly gets longer towards the front. Do scissor over comb now to refine the the haircut, and now here I'm doing cross-checking. I always cross-check my haircuts just to make sure it's nice and even. Now when I do the blow drying and styling here, I'm using a vent brush. I'm not really trying to fully stretch his hair and make it straight. I'm leaving some wave into it, but I start blow drying the hair from the crown, or actually from the back, then top of the head, crown. And I also take panels and you follow through. That way you make sure that the hair is dry. If the hair is not fully dry, then no matter how nice the style looks, it will collapse, especially if the roots are not set. So you want to make sure the roots are set. It is important that you work on blow drying, that your brush and the blow dryer work together constantly, that the brush actually just guides the hair in the direction as you want, and blow dryer follows. This actually is not as easy as it looks. It's easy to learn, but in general we don't do it. We usually use the blow dryer with our fingers or the brush, but we don't really control the air, you know, the way it flows. You have to really, it actually, there is a lot behind all this. I didn't know myself until I actually got into the competitions and was actually properly trained how to blow dry and style hair. It is very important here, as you see, that I set the roots, and I do not want to hold the blow dryer for any longer than a second at the root area, because it gets very hot, so you don't want to burn your client. I take about 1/4 of an inch here sections. I want to make sure that the roots are set, and then I just stretch the hair. Vent brush is actually a nice brush. It lets a lot of air go through. I also like a 9-volt brush. If I wanted his hair to be slick, straight, or should I say like pin straight, I would have probably used a 9-volt brush, because it gives you more tension on the hair, so you can stretch the hair better. Here I'm just raising it for some volume. This was actually the haircut that I did in 2015 at MC Barber Expo. So last week I posted my razor cut that I did this year, actually, at MC Barber Expo. That was a first place winner, and this is last year haircut. This is the haircut I did last year at MC Barber Expo. That was actually a first place winner too. Here I just used a straight edge razor to kind of start this haircut, the taper, to start the taper from 0. And then I'm gonna use scissor technique here, controlling the scissor with my pinky to remove the line there. These techniques are actually not as difficult as they look. Sometimes when you see them for the first time you think, oh my, but this is actually very simple. These are very easy techniques to master. As I said again, the most difficult technique that I personally believe to master with scissors is scissor over comb. This one right here. When you do scissor over comb, you should not fully close your scissors. They should kind of close to about 98%, but not fully. You want to keep the motion going. You don't want to stop and go, stop and go. You want to only move your thumb and try to keep your hand relaxed. No tension on your hands, so you should really work that part. That's why it's so difficult to master this technique. So you can preserve your hand. It is actually, if you do this for a very long time, especially if you work in a salon or a barber shop where they do not use clippers, and you do haircuts like this with scissor over comb all day, you can actually develop carpal tunnel or other hand problems. So you want to learn the proper technique, learn how to use your scissors and keep your hand relaxed. And there it is. I think it looks pretty clean. Alright folks, there it is. That's your haircut. Please don't forget to subscribe. mcbarber.com, my website. Thank you so much. Until next time, take care. Bye bye.